You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
We are NerdLanta.
You are now listening to the NerdLanta podcast. Episodes are available on all podcast apps and on the ESO Network. Please visit us online at nerdlanta.com for more info.
Welcome back to NerdLanta. It's one of your hosts, Julie Marateck, and I also have with me Matthew English.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. We also have our producer, Chris, on the line, and our special guest tonight, DJ Douggpound.
Hi, how are you?
Great, thanks.
Great to be here.
How would you consider yourself a nerd?
No way, dude. I'm not a nerd. Think I'm some nerd?
Well,
I guess I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd. I get nerdy about stuff, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're all nerds. Everyone's a nerd about something.
For sure.
You know,
we're an equal opportunist nerd podcast. But we're excited to have you with us. We're going to start tonight just chatting about a couple things. We're going to just say hello, and then we're going to move into some nerd news. And then we will chat with you. But we want you to be able to, chime in and join us whenever the spirit moves you.
I'll be chiming in like a real nerd.
Yeah. Get those nerd pants on.
Put on some thick plastic rim glasses, Doug. Mm-hmm. That's how we do it here. We put them on right before we start recording.
I have a scuba mask on.
Oh,
real thick. Real thick.
That's even better.
Yeah.
How are things going? Things are okay. Things are crazy. Is that how I feel? I don't know how I feel anymore. Yeah, life is just crazy right now. How are you doing?
The same. I think from a personal level, I'm fine and hanging in there. I think there's obviously a lot going on in the world right now, and everybody is kind of stepping up to the plate for people of color and human rights. And, I'm excited to see that. I know it's been a little bit of a heavy weekend in the country and all over the world. But,
yeah, for sure. Yeah. I've been, and on top of all my friends on social media and everyone sharing stories and pictures and videos from protests and all sorts of things. The return of Anonymous has been interesting. I don't know if you're following that, if you follow Anonymous on Twitter, but Anonymous is back after a hiatus. And so just spilling government secrets and all sorts of fun stuff. So it's been just a lot of reading lately, a lot of news, a lot of, I have not been out to the protest here in Atlanta. But I closely watching to ensure the safety of my friends. What I need to do, and what everyone should do if you're not able to be there, you should think about is being like an offsite point of contact, someone that people are checking in and out with. That's where I should step up. And but my friends aren't really sharing ahead of time that they're going, just that they were there after the fact, which is probably safer for them.
I have a question. Is Anonymous good guys or bad guys?
Yes.
It's different. That's not like Q Anonymous. That's different.
No, it's not QAnon. No, this is this is that.
No, these are the guys with the. I know these are the guys with the masks and the cool videos
with the V for Vendetta masks. Yes, the Guy Fawkes. This is they're back. They helped with the Chelsea Manning case. Was one of their hacktivist stories a few years ago. So yeah, they're back. I'm waiting for some independent, from trusted news sources that I trust to go through and do some independent verification, because they've posted some salacious stuff on Twitter. So we'll see what happens.
I can't wait to look at it.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting time. I think the thing right now is to we're doing this podcast, and obviously we keep it light. And it's about pop culture, but I think that there's obviously that going on with COVID, and then what's going on with protests. I think I'm learning that I think at a really high level, right? Like, oh, we need to, stand up and be a voice for the underserved. But I also feel like I need to like just reach out to people. You know what I mean? Like just pick up my phone and like text people and check in and see how they're doing. I think that's kind of what I've learned that I don't do, that I need to do.
Yeah, for sure. I've reached out to a couple of friends to ask how they're doing. Just some friends I have who I feel like I know, just different friends of different stripes and colors who some that struggle with the mental health disorders, who get very anxious when things like this are happening in the news in general, or just a couple different people who came to mind where I was like, I really need to double check on those people. So yeah, that's a great idea, Julie. I encourage you to do the same. We'll probably end up reaching out to the same people because the comedy community in Atlanta is.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty small.
Like, I just told Matthew I was fine.
You guys obviously talked about this on your podcast. And then, were you going to say something? I
was just going to ask if you've got anything else going on, anything else you wanted to share with everyone and catch us up on.
Not really. I kind of did a nerdy thing last week. I got an article published on CNN, which I was excited about.
That's right. Congratulations! I haven't congratulated you for that. I saw that. So awesome.
I felt like it was just a geeky thing to bring up because seeing your name on like an article that you wrote, and under CNN was super exciting. So I wrote an article about how technology during COVID is bringing us together, more now more than ever. And I got to geek out and like talk to some really cool people for the article. I spoke to Jeremy Burge, who is his title is Chief Emoji Officer, and he started Emojipedia, which is like the emoji reference website. It's pretty big. I got to speak to another gentleman who started the Emoji Consortium, which basically approves all the emojis that we use on our cell phone devices. I spoke to somebody at Zoom. I spoke to someone who works at the Neon Museum in Vegas. So just like a lot of different rock stars in their own way. Got to kind of talk to them and ask them some interview questions. I talked to Mia Jackson, who's a comic.
I love her.
And Mary Lynn Rice Cub, who was on 24. So yeah, so she started like an online show. So anyway, it was super cool and fun to geek out on that, and get that published. That was a fun moment.
That's very cool. And congratulations. That's exciting.
Isn't CNN the fake news one?
They're the deep fakes.
We'll add that to your byline.
Mm-hmm, the fake news network.
Julie Marateck, fake news journalist. Yeah.
Fake nerd network.
Fake nerd, yeah, or fake nerd news. Boop, boop, boop. How are you doing, Matthew? Have you done any like online shows recently, or are you getting back into doing any theater?
I just did my first online show, and it was awkward because we pre-recorded from some stand-up that will be released later, and I did it for. I worked with Brent Starr, who's a local performer. To call him just a comedian or just a drag queen would be a disservice to all the performing he does. But he wanted to, we were kind of in talks to do something together. He's been doing like a variety show, a weekly variety show, and he asked me to be a guest, and our date kind of finally came up. But I've learned, I've avoided the online stand-up comedy because I so much feed off the audience that I was really nervous about doing it. And I'm going to be honest, it was awkward. I'll be interested to see how it comes out. First of all, I sped through my jokes. I was like, oh yeah, like this is 6, 7, I was supposed to do like 6, 7, maybe 8 minutes of material. And I finished up, I was like, how long was that? They were like 4. I was like, oh, when you don't have to pause for people laughing and have time to feed off the energy, like it just goes by real quick. So that was embarrassing. But so yeah, so we'll see how it turns out. We did like a sketch sort of type thing to kind of intro it, which was Brent had an idea for it. I don't want to spoil it, but you're going to be shocked when you see the thumbnail in your timeline. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I'm excited about that. Whatever it is. Is it more fake news?
No, it's all 100% true.
It is weird though. Online shows are awkward, but they're fun once you get over the awkwardness and kind of get your head out of it. It's just sort of like comedy in general. It's just we're used to kind of getting your head in the game in front of people. But I think I enjoy hosting online comedy shows more than actually being on them.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see like the Laughing Skull's been putting together online shows, and they bring like 10 non-comedians into the show to be like the laugh track, and it's like, oh, that would help. I think that's
for sure.
That's a great way to go about it. But to just pre-record stand-up comedy, granted, it was Brent in the room and the guy he was doing our camera work, and so it was like I had the two of them, which was nice because I did get some laughs. But yeah, I don't know. It's the same way. It's like when a stranger asks you like, oh, you do stand up, like tell me a joke. It's like it doesn't work one-on-one. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. This is not what this was built for. So.
I hear ya. Cool. Well, I think that sounds like, we've had some good things happen this week. Are you ready for some nerd news?
I'm so ready.
Please give us the nerd news.
I always do this little sound. Why don't you kick us off with nerd news, Matthew, since I kicked off the show?
Well, the headline that we saw this week from The Verge, Microsoft lays off journalists to replace them with AI. Yay! So now we're not just limiting replacing people with robots to like the auto working industry. They're coming for all of us, and I'm really excited about that. What do you guys think about robot journalists?
I saw the headline, but how does that even work? I mean, dude, is it like I would be into it if it was like a hologram, and if you could make it be like Tupac or something,
That would be really cool. No, it's just for like the news stories online on like MSN. I didn't realize it didn't occur to me. Like MSN is still my dad's homepage, even though he has a Mac. It's like so what it scans. It scans like the Associated Press and other news feeds for information, and then compiles it into a story using machine learning to understand how journalists write. It reminded me, and I actually Googled it. It was from 2015. NPR did a race between so this is 5 years ago, so the technology has improved greatly, but they had a race between a software that was designed to write a story and also a human write a story about the same thing. And it was about, and then they read them both over. They were just like one paragraph long. They read them both over the air on NPR, and they're like, "Can you tell which one was written by a machine?" And the story they were given to compete over, the machine finished first, but there's something missing to it, and it's like, oh yeah, this because it was written by the robot. It was the story they were supposed to write about. It was about Denny's, the diner, the diner restaurant. Chain, and the differences between the two are really subtle, but they're human elements that are thrown in. Like the opening line of the NPR reporter who wrote the story threw in, it was about an earnings report. He threw in the term Grand Slam, which
I was going to say the
is
robot
a menu item.
How are the robots going to know to do puns? I mean, is the technology there?
Maybe Microsoft has fine-tuned it in the last 5 years since whatever program NPR used in their article. But it just reminded me of that, and it's like it does make me sad. We're going to lose something human to
here's the question:
to the machines.
Here's the question: why do they need that? Why are they needing to replace people with the robot to write a story? Well,
so they're just speed, and labor. It's expensive to pay all the journalists to do things that a machine could do. Like I believe the machine that pulled this information pulled directly from like the stock ticker, and then compared former quarterly reports, and then like compiled all that algorithmically, and then wrote a story based on numbers. So like for financial reporting, it in a way makes sense because you don't need flair to it. To come out and say like the Dow's down this many points today. Like a machine can write that. That's fine.
Yeah, but like if they're gonna write something about, say, the protests or something like. They have to get the information from a person. At the first point of information has to be from a person. Unless they're putting robots out in the protests to gather
out into the protest. I wouldn't put it past any large tech company. It's coming. Yeah. Those sex robots are getting real. All we got to do is dress them in all black, and they could be out there.
I'm surprised they don't have an army of robots taking place of the cops.
That'll happen, I'm sure.
There's probably people in a lab right now designing them.
I mean,
Isn't
as a
that
writer,
like the whole point of Iron Man 2 or 3?
yeah, just robots or everything. I don't know.
Robots for everything.
As a writer, I just couldn't. I mean, I could understand a robot getting easily getting facts and quotes and like very logistical things. I mean, it's just like comedy, but like, how can you replace that with like the human element? You know, it's just like getting a robot to tell jokes. Like, I mean, it's interesting. I wonder where it will go, and if I need to start marketing myself on my resume as if I am a robot so that I could get more work.
That's a great idea. You should definitely do that.
That's a great idea for a script. Is like someone posing, kind of like that movie Soul Man, where the white guy pretends to be a black guy to get the college scholarship. It's like a human pretending to be a robot to be a comedian.
Yeah, instead of an inappropriate, like, pretending to be a different race, I could pretend to be a robot to, like, get more articles written and tell jokes. I think there's something there. I'm on this.
You're on, and it wouldn't be unheard of. I had a black friend who played violin. She was wonderful, but she was unable to get an audition with the local symphony orchestra in the city she lives in. So she legally changed her last name to something that sounded more Asian, and then she got the audition.
No way, really?
Yes.
I heard a story about
a true anecdote.
I heard a story about, I don't know if it was on This American Life or one of those shows, but they started auditioning orchestra people, musicians, behind a curtain. So you couldn't see there was no bias to what their gender or their race was.
That's a great idea.
It's a thing.
That's
yeah,
cool.
It's a total thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. It's sort of like those love shows, like Love is Blind, right? Where you fall in love behind a wall.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that always works out too.
Oh, well, how about you, Julie? What nerd news did you bring to the table this week?
Well, I brought to the table the SpaceX launch that happened. I know we talked a little bit about it in previous podcast episodes, but now that's officially happened, like there's actually, a crew in space right now from the NASA and the SpaceX team. Did anyone here watch the launch?
I did not, but I think I caught maybe a recap of it.
It was super cool. Like the launch went off, and then they're really like wearing like really new agey kind of like spacesuits. And I watched the two astronauts go from their shuttle into the International Space Station, where they were greeted by other astronauts who were in the International Space Station, and they did like a live Q&A back to the base in NASA. I don't know, it's just really interesting, So basically, SpaceX is going to be going around the Earth's orbit for about 110 days, but there's no actual details yet that I have been able to find as far as when the astronauts will return to Earth. So they're just chilling in space right now, which is like super cool. And like I was thinking, like my kids or grandkids could go to space. I mean, this is the very first time that a commercial space shuttle was sent to space. So what does that mean for our future?
That's a great question. And they don't know when they're able to come back because they need to do all sorts of diagnostic testing on the capsule. They don't want to send them back in it until they know it's 100% safe. Mm-hmm. So there is no come home time yet. But I believe I heard a window that was anywhere from like 4 months to like it was a huge window. I'm like, oh, that would make me very uncertain, and I don't like that.
They're up there for
I would want to know when I'm
months,
coming home.
Just the two of them, or are they in the ISS?
They're in the ISS.
Right now.
They're with other astronauts.
Now, these astronauts in the ISS, are they keeping 6 feet apart or what?
I don't know if you can get 5 feet apart in space. They're just flying around each other. I don't know. Does COVID happen in space?
COVID happens in all directions in space because there's no gravity to pull your droplets to the dirty ground.
It just happens everywhere. Maybe that's the answer. We just need to go. I saw some funny memes about like, now is a good time to leave the planet.
I saw those too. It's like those guys had the right idea. Did you guys see though? And it was like, I love to celebrate their triumph and how exciting this is. But did you see that one of the astronauts, Doug Hurley, like after they had like attached their capsule to the ISS, they open the doors, they're coming through the doors, and Doug Hurley hits his head on like the door frame. I was like, oh no,
that would so be mean. Like, yeah, he kept touching his head. That was so mean. Like I'm sinking in my chair before trying to get on this podcast. Imagine me in space. I can't even sit in a chair to do a podcast. Like I would be the one that would somehow like fly backwards out into space and travel toward the sun.
Oh, it's like those videos when you see people sitting on hoverboards. Oh, those are great. They fly backwards because they don't understand how their center of gravity is when they're sitting versus when they're standing. Oh, it's beautiful. If you ever need a laugh, Google kids sit down on hoverboard. Oh, it's amazing. They fly into Christmas trees. They fly into walls. It's great. They fly so fast.
I love hoverboard fails.
Me too. Oh, they're golden. That's what's going to bring this country together.
It was touching though. Like I did see a video of, a scene of a live shot from the ISS of the Earth. And it really is touching. I really feel like this sounds so cheesy, but I feel like our world kind of needs this right now. We're all on this tiny planet together in the middle of like an abyss, and there's so much going on right now, so much tension in the world. And, it kind of was, I feel like, kind of neat to just think about like that we're all just on this planet and like we got to make this work,
So when they showed an image of the Earth, you're saying that there was a 3D rendered graphic of the flat Earth that they're hiding.
Exactly. It was actually done
they're hiding the truth.
It was actually done in a sound studio. They actually weren't even in space. It was done in like a Stanley Kubrick filmed it. Stanley Kubrick filmed it.
It kind of makes you pine for the days when you could just make fun of flat earthers with all that's going on now.
There's actually the Steve Carell show, Space Force, and they make fun of a guy who's like in politics who's a flat earther.
Guys, sorry to interrupt. Are you guys watching that show? Is that any good?
I am. I've watched a couple episodes. I would give it like a B-. Like I'm interested for Matthew to watch it and do his Netflix and nap episode. Because it's fine, but it's not as funny as I think it should be considering like the amazing talent that's on it.
Would you compare it to like if you are a fan of The Office? Do you think that's something that you would enjoy, or is it totally different?
They're trying to make it office-y, if that makes sense, because of Steve Carell and his kind of character and the dialogue. And it's a little bit The Office meets sort of like a Christopher Guest kind of best in show kind of mockumentary type thing. But it's just not as... It's like there's something missing from it. It's almost like hard to kind of take that energy into like such a huge production. It's like something kind of gets lost.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. I would say watch it, but don't have like super high expectations.
I'll definitely do it for Netflix and Nap next time.
Mm-hmm.
It's
what's Netflix and Nap?
Netflix and Nap is my rating system. I have a really bad habit. I have very bad sleep patterns. So I don't ever go to sleep. Instead, I do something until I sleep. And frequently what that is watch something on Netflix. So I start a new show. And let's say there's 10 episodes in a season. Your rating is based on what episode I actually end up falling asleep during. So
is it a better show when you fall asleep later?
Yes. Yeah. You could ostensibly score a 10 out of 10. But what that means is that I probably didn't go to bed. And now I'm going to call out of work the next day.
So the better the show, the worse sleep you get. So it's like you can't win.
Yeah. Something that will like, because I don't start no, it's terrible for my health, is the takeaway we should all take. I'm currently, it's 9 o'clock here in Atlanta and I'm drinking coffee right now. So that's the life I lead.
Maybe there should be a channel or at least like a playlist on there just for you, just like sleep flicks. Just like the worst shows that are unwatchable. That
are just like totally unwatchable. That's a show that inspired this idea was actually Stranger Things. It, has a huge fan following. It's got its huge nerddom or fandom to it. I have not. I think I've tried to watch the first episode literally 7 times and I've fallen asleep every time. Once in my car on a break from my office job, I'd like gone out to my car on my lunch break instead of eating, and then fell asleep during episode 1 of Stranger Things. So I've not watched any of Stranger Things. I was like, this would be a funny rating system if how many episodes of Stranger Things there are? It scores a 1 out of however many episodes there are now.
Is your TV system in your bedroom?
I've taken my TV out of my room. I am onto a laptop in my bed. So there we go. No headphones. just
I've never
just
done the
rocking
TV.
it, yeah.
I've never done the TV in the bedroom setup. I think that's just asking for trouble.
It is. Well, that's why I took it out of my bedroom, and I set up I live with my parents, and there's an extra bedroom across the hall from mine. I was like, perfect. I'm going to separate my sleep life and my work life. Like, this will be great because I have a desk. So I'm like, I'm going to take my desk out of my room, put it in this extra room, and I'm going to take my laptop out, and my TV can go in there. Like, everything can be in there. And now I just take my laptop to my bed at night and and watch Parks and Recreation because it makes me feel happy again.
As it should.
Such a sweet show.
Oh, man. Yeah, Brittany loves that show. She loves Parks and Rec so much. And she also falls asleep toward the end of things. So you guys could totally hang out and like Netflix and nap together.
Well, Netflix and nap together. I do love Brittany. Doug, are you watching anything right now? We usually ask our guests if they're watching anything at the top of the show, if there's anything you're binging or...
Well, I just binged the Jeffrey Epstein documentary on Netflix.
I'm not in the mood to follow up on those anonymous tweets.
I'm not in the mood for comedy shows, so it's hard for me to like click on the Space Force one. But I started watching, and then I'm finally watching the new not Breaking Bad, but Better Call Saul, the latest season of that. I just watched a show on Hulu called Normal People. Is that what it's called?
I watched that. What'd you think?
I liked it, but it seems like that would be a good one to fall asleep to because like barely anything happens, and there's less.
It's for sure. It's like
just softcore porn, basically.
It's 10 hours it's 10 hours of like softcore porn and talking in Irish accents.
Yeah, it's like these insecure kids. They like each other, and then they don't know how to talk to each other. Then they go out with someone else, and then they go to college, and they kind of get back, and then they don't. Like that's the whole show. But there's something about it that's really good. I don't know, the acting or something it's just pretty well done.
It is.
I'll have my list.
Really
Yeah.
good. Yeah, and I'm watching a Jeffrey Epstein one too. That's just an intense watch, but yeah, but it's a good watch. I mean, it's informative and not funny at all. So you definitely get a break from comedy.
No, it's infuriating, and I think everyone needs to see this stuff because we got to. I don't know. It's just these people in power, these rich people that can just get away with anything. It just needs to stop. I tell you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Grandpa, you're right. Grandpa Douggpound.
Gotta stop.
On that note, we're going to move to our little commercial break, and then we're going to be back to talk more with Doug.
Everyone these days could use a little support, and your friends at the ESO Network are no different. With the ESO Network Patreon, the cool thing is when you help support us, it's you who will benefit. With 4 tiers starting for as little as 25 cents a week, you can listen to some of your favorite network podcasts early, hear exclusive content, maybe get some ESO swag, or even possibly take a shot at the geek seat. All you need to do is sign up at patreon.com/ESO Network.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to Podcasting has this to say about the weekly Earth Station 1 podcast. Mildly entertaining. Not nearly as exciting as the popping of bubble wrap, but slightly better than listening to Vogon poetry. Be mildly entertained by Mike and Mike as they tackle an assortment of geeky topics each week. Check out the Earth Station 1 podcast and let your inner geek out to play.
All right, we back. You've heard a little bit from Doug, aka DJ Douggpound, aka Grandpa Douggpound. I'm super excited to be
get off my lawn
talking with you. Get off my lawn. If you haven't exactly heard of Doug himself, I'm sure you've seen or heard a lot of his work. He is a DJ as well as a very accomplished TV editor for the Tim and Eric Awesome Show, the Eric Andre Show, and one of my awesome favorite shows, Portlandia. So welcome to the podcast, Doug.
Thanks, guys. And I am barely a DJ, but I appreciate that.
You do spin stuff though, right?
I do comedy disguised as a DJ, I guess you could say it.
Okay, because I know you do comedy. Because I know Chris, you Chris, tell us how you met Doug.
In prison. Right. It was back in Chicago. So he, I think it was in 2014, Doug and a few other people, Andre Hyland and I think Mikey Kaplan were doing a tour. It was the Triple Dippers tour, right?
Triple Dippers tour, yeah. That was. We were just looking at the photos from that recently. It was quite a weird tour, but anyway, continue.
It was a lot of fun. So we were happy to be able to have you guys come out to my my house, which was turned into a venue. That was a terrible idea to do that, but it was fun to have the show that you guys performed in our living room, and that was a pretty great night. So that's how we met, and you invited me and a friend to go see the Tim and Eric show. I think later on that year they're playing at 7 Stages in Atlanta. So that's kind of where that all started, and we're coming full circle now and have you on the podcast. So thank you for that.
Great to be back. Great to be back in the Atlanta scene. I love Atlanta. How is it out there? Is it really locked down? Is it?
Yeah, it's pretty locked down right now, I'd say. Well, for the most part, I don't know. They are starting to open up bars pretty soon and restaurants, and I'm personally not going out a whole lot at all. What about you guys? Are you going out more than just the grocery stores?
Here in LA, yeah, there's, I think, maybe a few restaurants are starting to open, but it's pretty well now because of the protest. There's a curfew, so we can't even leave after 5 p.m. But they were talking about loosening it up. I really just hope they open up at least the beaches or something so we can have some fun this summer.
Yeah,
fun in the sun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure if you live in a beach town, like I would hate to live in a beach town and not be able to go to the beach. That would be so hard.
Yeah, the rules are kind of weird. You can go to the beach, but you can't sit on the beach. You have to be like swimming. You can go to the beach and go straight into the water and like swim and surf and stuff, but you can't chill and sit on the sand with like your towel. So that's kind of stupid.
So you just have to immediately get out of the water, grab
get
your
out,
board,
get out
back
of the water.
to your car,
yeah,
wet and sandy and gross. Cool.
Or you could maybe jog along the beach or something like that. You just have to keep moving. I don't know how that helps anything, but
sounds like I'm gonna get a rash. Yeah, no, that seems almost like more like if people just pick a spot and stay, then they're not encountering lots of people in motion. I don't know. That seems.
I don't see why we can't get Hasselhoff out there and, the blonde bombshell, and they could make people stay 6 feet apart. What's her name?
Just stay 6 feet apart. People.
Why can't I think of her name? Yeah.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time, to be honest.
I know. She got out of my memory of names.
They can call that show Pandemic Watch.
There we go.
Right? Yeah.
A-Watch, but Pandemic Watch. And they can apply that to all shows now because I guess that's the reality.
Virus Watch.
But honestly, like, you know what that show would turn into? It would just be like teenage boys like, hey, let's stand 4 feet apart and see if that hot one comes and gets us. Like,
yeah.
That's so funny. Y'all run with face masks on. So, in slow-mo. That'd be so funny. So Doug, I know you, so being a joke DJ and then also being a very well-respected, successful editor, which one did you get into first? What's kind of been, because I know you do a lot of really cool things, with the comedy, the music, your own podcast, editing. What's been your career trajectory? How'd you get started?
Well, I went to film school in Chicago, where I'm from, and I was always into comedy, not necessarily stand-up, but I went to film school and I would just kind of do like comedy videos and stuff. And then I got a job in Chicago at a place that did editing, and they did like dubbing, kind of like a really boring job. But then I would stay late and sort of like re-edit like news footage into like funny stuff. I started out kind of like remixing, edits, I guess. So I guess that's how I started. I was doing just funny videos, I guess. And then at the same time, I was in bands in college, and I tried to make electronic music kind of unsuccessfully, and I had some gear. And then when I moved out, my dream was to work on a show like Mr. Show, That was like my favorite show at the time in the late 90s. And then I moved to LA in the early 2000s and just answered a Craigslist ad, and it turned out to be Tim and Eric. And that was like when they were starting their first show called Tom Goes to the Mayor. And I already had so much experience of editing and Photoshop. I just kind of like just started helping out. I was kind of like I was an intern at first. I was just sort of helping out. And then this is just like my boring life story. So then after that, I started to become kind of interested in stand-up, because I started to go to these shows where it's called Comedy Bang Bang, but it was like the same people. But before then it was called Comedy Death Ray. And it was like the cool like alternative comedy night of the week, and there would be people there doing kind of like weirder stuff, and I started to think like, actually stand up is really cool. You can be like really creative, there's kind of like no rules to it. So then I started to be interested in that, and then because I had a bunch of jokes that I just started writing jokes, and then I started to my jokes, I did okay, but then something, I don't know why, one day I thought I have like a sampler from when I was trying to be like Aphex Twin unsuccessfully. So I thought of these ideas where like the punchline would be like a sample, it'd be like a snippet of a song or something. So then I kind of like just took the two things that I was okay at, which was like okay at jokes and okay at like trying to be a DJ, and then put them together, and it was like a unique enough act. And then at the same time, Tim and Eric started to do little shows and like live shows, they started to develop their live thing, and I would just start opening up for them. And then I would run all the sound and video for their shows. So it all kind of happened at the same time, but I don't know. I never really wanted to be an editor necessarily. I just happened to be good at it. It's just one of those things that I sort of just picked up right away. Like in film school, like we had these assignments where they would just give you like a bunch of footage and you just have to put it together. And I don't know, like I guess my brain just works in that way where I just kind of just came naturally to me. So I just started getting jobs doing that because I was just good at it naturally. So that's how that happened.
That's cool.
That's very cool. You're our second guest in a row to rise to prominence through Craigslist, which is very exciting.
It was so weird because that was the only ad. Well, I had been in LA for a year because like I had one friend out here and he said he could get me a job. So I was working at Playboy.com, which was like I just had this dark year where I had like one friend and I had this like soul sucking job where it was just like so boring. It was not creative at all. It was like uploading clips and like it was just boring stuff. And then one day they were like, I think our department might be dissolving. So then I like answered one Craigslist ad. All it said was like comedy show wants an intern. It turns out they were like, their assistant called me and they like, well, this is a cartoon and this guy, Bob Odenkirk, is the producer of it. And I was like, what the hell? Like I moved out to LA to work on a show on like, I wanted to do like whatever Mr. Show was, like something like of that caliber. And it was Bob Odenkirk. And it was like,
yeah, you're like, am I punked? Am I being punked? Like, what is happening?
I'm like, I was like, wow, like it was just a lucky break.
You're like, this is either going to be a really great job or I'm going to lose a kidney. Either way, not the worst Craigslist experience.
How did you kind of come up with some of your editing styles? I know you have like a very specific way of editing, and cutting quickly. I actually have a background in film production. So, when I was watching Portlandia, even before I knew who you were, I noticed those kind of quick cuts and kind of ending on a certain word or like, just kind of that humor. Did that just come to you naturally, or did you kind of look at other editors and be inspired to do that?
A bit of both. I would say it did kind of come to me naturally because back in Chicago, I would do that stuff when I would mess around with kind of the footage that we had been working with, editing some really boring like news package. I would just like recut it to be funny and like pitch people's voices and, repeat things. I started just doing that because I just thought it looked funny. I wasn't like thinking I'm developing a new style. I just was like playing around with the Avid, thinking like this is just funny to me. I was just trying to make my friends laugh. And then some of those videos actually like somebody told me to like submit them to like art galleries. So I got into some like art shows. So I was like a video artist. I thought I was like being an artist. But then at the same time there was in Chicago, my friend did this thing called the TV Sheriff and the Trail Buddies, which was like a band, but he played a video sampler and he would like have, it's like kind of impossible to explain without seeing it. But he did a lot of that really quick cutting stuff, but he did it live by pressing buttons on a keyboard that each key was like assigned to like a video clip of like a Gold Bond commercial or OJ Simpson clip or something. And, but it would also be like projecting on the screen at the same time. So I was inspired by that as far as like the super quick stuff, and also some skate vids where I would see some stuff and I would kind of like think that was cool. And I was just, a lot of it is just experimenting and just trying to do weird stuff with the software. You know, I don't know. I just started just doing it. I just thought that was just funny. I thought it was just funny the way things were cut, you know, because I was just using, by starting off with found footage and making it be funny. I think that's how it happened. Just kind of. Well,
it seems just from what I've learned about you, it just seems like you have just a great innate sense of what is funny. You're a great comedy barometer, and to take footage that isn't intended to be funny and make it funny. What a great skill! You know, that's amazing, and it's really cool that you've look what you've done with it. This is so exciting. This is. You're a fascinating person. Just reading up on you.
I get hired a lot to like fix things that aren't really working. You know, it's like, can you come in and recut this because, you know, we didn't get it. We have to like make it funny somehow.
I'll tell you what, if
polish the turd.
If the in someone's living room stand up I did this last weekend turns out shit, can I send you the video of it and you make it gold? Does that sound good?
Yeah, I'll put it on the list. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, on top of all your editing, you also are the host of the Poundcast, your podcast. Are you doing a lot of that now that we're all quarantined and stuck at home?
Yeah, it's funny because I just did a 2-hour one right before we started this one.
Oh gosh, so you've been in front of your microphone for a long time.
It's a big podcast day for me. No, it's fine. I mean, I'm under lockdown. I'm under the curfew, so this is great. This works out for me. I also do a podcast called Office Hours with Tim Heidecker. And
okay.
That one's kind of like the funnest thing I do every week, to be honest. That's every Thursday. We do a live podcast.
A live podcast.
And what it's like I'm kind of like the sidekick who does drops and sound effects and stuff, but I'm on the mic a little bit. I'm mostly peppering the show with noises. I can show you how it's done.
Do it.
Yes, please.
The pounding.
Wait, can you hear that?
The pounding.
Oh, yeah.
Cut the tape.
Where you from?
You know, this kind of stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ashamed to admit that I'm a Christian.
You know, stuff like that. Just make noises over the whole show. I got laughs. Like when I do stand up on Zoom shows or whatever, I'll just bring my own laugh track. So that's a little trick. Decision. If you ever want to try that, just bring your own laugh track, and then you can't.
I've heard some comics do
people
that.
are laughing, you know.
Yeah, some comics have done that on some of the shows I've hosted. Like some of the quarantine shows, they've had a little laugh track because I mean it's silly, you know, and I feel like it adds a little bit of, you know, it adds humor.
I think if you're going to do the Zoom thing, you might as well lean into how weird it is and don't try to do what would work in front of a crowd. Try to like do something different in some way or the other. I really don't know, but
we've got a local comic, Spencer Ruzio, who there's a show that he DJs for, and he peppers the stand-ups with sound effects during their, mostly it's just like he does like an intro and outro for you with sound effects, but for people that he's comfortable with, he will insert sound effects into your stand-up.
I do it. Yeah, I do. I've done shows like that.
I'm like,
I get the clearance from the comic because some of them like absolutely hate it. Like it just ruins their whole set. But some people love it.
Some people love it.
I want all of our podcast episodes now doing sound effects.
Yes, that's what you need as another podcast to be a part of on the regular.
Yeah, you're not busy enough, Doug. So now you're a part of this. Who's been some of your? I know you've met some like really big time people like Bob Odenkirk, and I mean just so many people. The team from Portlandia, Tim and Eric. Who are some of your favorite people that you've met and have been able to work with?
John C. Reilly.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know he was on the Tim and Eric Awesome Show. What's he like in person?
He also did another show called Check It Out with Dr. Steve Brule, and I was an editor on that show, and that was just super fun. Oh, he's like the sweetest guy. He's great. He was on I did a web series called Pound House. I got him to act in an episode of that. He was really cool. It's really cool that he did that. Other than that, just like Tim and Eric, I mean, those guys are awesome. I don't know. There's a lot of
Have you met Fred?
A lot of fun.
Have you met Fred?
Oh yeah,
Armisen?
Fred's awesome. He like people like Tim and Fred. They're just like so funny all the time. It's like intimidating almost to even try to like joke around with them because they're just so funny. You know,
They're funny and fast on their feet, and
they're fast. They're quick. Yeah, yeah, they're good. I like to just I'm not as like as you can tell by the way I'm saying a lot of ums and stuttering. I'm not that good at like being quick, but I can have a sound effect on anytime I need it.
It's like the comedy equivalent to the quick draw, right? It's take 10
Basically,
paces.
it's my crutch. The sound effects are my crutch because I'm not
You
that
just walk
good.
around,
I'm not
you just
that
walk
funny,
around.
so I just put in other sounds that trick people into thinking it's funny or something.
You walk around with your like an app on your iPhone, just doing sound effects. People you meet.
I know. Seriously, I need drops like all the time, 24/7. I need to have like a little Beats pill hooked around my belt with it Bluetoothed into my phone.
That seems like a great idea to me, and I think that would help me in all sorts of situations. I work customer service, so this would be perfect.
Oh
I just
man,
need,
are you on the line with like helping people?
No. I work at Starbucks, so it's great.
Oh,
we get
yeah.
some real angry people sometimes.
Yeah,
It's
you can
very
totally do
exciting.
that. I'll have a double latte, almond milk, half caffeinated, and you could just be like, what was that Christian one you did, Doug? That's just the voice of a Christian.
I'm not ashamed to admit that I'm a Christian.
I love that.
Wait, I'll be the Starbucks barista, and then you ask me if they have I don't know, if you can have a latte.
Can I get a latte?
Do you all really believe this?
I've taken to impersonating my coworkers, but it terrifies the people. Like I do just offensive voices for them. Like I have this sweet girl. She just one of our baristas just graduated high school, and she's so sad because she couldn't have her graduation. And I told her the other morning, I was like, I'm going to be you for the next customer that comes through. And she was like, okay, let's hear it. And so the next customer comes through and I said, good morning, my name's Jillian. Hello.
Oh my God.
Oh, thank you. That's what I've been missing in my life is just strangers' approval. But yeah, if you could come help me, come to Atlanta, help me hook up some sound effects to the drive-through at Starbucks.
I swear, like I know it sounds silly, but if there was a Starbucks that was like doing, sound effects when I'm trying to order stuff, I would be like, it would be a news story, and I would go there every day. I'd be like, this is the best, I
would drive 30 minutes out of my way.
Yeah,
right. I would drive to that coffee shop on my way to Starbucks to get a coffee from them just for the experience. This seems like a business, and you should definitely take this on, Doug. Let's do it. We're all incorporating together.
What you tell me?
Okay.
Was that one approval? I can't tell anymore. I don't know.
That was Rage Against the Machine.
Yes.
What you tell me?
If they ask for like, hey, can I get that? Can you make that vegan with oat milk?
I won't do what you tell me.
You just say that, but you still give it to them, and then they love it,
And then they love it. They're just surprised.
Yeah.
I love it too.
Oh no, go Julie.
Like Doug, do you like do that on dates and stuff? Like if the date's weird, you just incorporate some sound effects.
And I try.
Yeah, I put some Four Non Blondes in there.
Ooh, I love that.
but only on dates with brunettes. Is that?
Exactly.
That was a quick draw.
Yeah, I got to start doing that. I got to start bringing the drops to the dates, but I don't think dates are going to happen anytime in the future.
6 feet
again.
apart dates. It'll be fine. So where can we find you? Let's get some. So normally we would ask people. Normally we bring on like people who have like events coming up or something to promote. Obviously you've got the podcasts that you're a part of that are great, and those can continue in quarantine. But why don't you tell us about some of the things that are on the horizon for you? Some of the big things you're excited about that are in the pipeline.
Well, Well, there's one thing I don't know, I can't really talk about it, but I am working on a project that is, developing a TV show. Hopefully that'll turn into something. You can go on my Instagram.
That's awesome.
I got some stuff on, I make little videos on there, I make little songs and stuff. But actually, I do have some music coming out on Spotify. I don't know, just look for DJ Douggpound, and there's some new music coming out there. And every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific, you can watch Office Hours live, or you can just listen to that podcast, or you can listen to the Poundcast, or anywhere, any social media at Douggpound with 2 G's. You can pretty much find me. Well, pretty much just Instagram. I haven't gotten too into the TikTok yet, or the Twitter these days is just a big, I don't know. It's just not fun there. And it used to be fun, but now it just makes you sad.
That's,
it's good for news. I go there for like news and stuff. I don't really have anything to add on there.
I feel the same way. I'm more of a voyeur on Twitter than I am I don't scream into the void as much as I used to.
Right. Yeah. It's like there's so much information and opinions. It's like I just don't want to add to the pile. I just I don't really I rarely have anything new to say with like the news of the day, like if I got to say this though, if you're a news junkie, you got to be in hog heaven. There's so much news happening now. You got the pandemic, you got the protests, you got SpaceX. There's just so much news. You got to be loving it.
It's too much. I'm a news junkie. It's overwhelming. I
guess why robots are doing it now, because like humans can't handle this much
we
news
can't
and information.
handle the truth.
I need robots to put the news into my head, so I don't have to like keep sucking at the news nipple or whatever.
The news nipple? Yeah, I like it. It's alliterative. I like it. The news nipple. I need news curation. But I try and take in as much as I can, but eventually it gets to a point where I'm like, turn it off. I'm like, I just need to watch videos of kids flying around on hoverboards into things. I need to.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a huge upswing of comedy. I think that's coming. Things come in peaks and valleys, and we're in the valley right now of darkness, and it's just going to explode. Something joyful will explode. I predict. It's my prediction. It's my positive prediction for the day.
I believe in it. I do too. I still have, with everything going on, it seems it's really easy to feel kind of hopeless, with just some of the stuff we're seeing. I don't want to let's bring it down a little bit. But no, I am hopeful. I think can we get mood lighting in here? I'm sitting in the closet and it's dark in here already. So, because it was bright when we started and now it's dark and now I'm scared. But yeah, I feel the same way. I hope the same thing. I hope that all this, I think we're going to have, flourishing arts, but especially comedy. I think people need it right now. I think I'm expecting very bright and upbeat comedy when we come out of this, as well as fashion. Just wait. It'll be there. Bright neon colors. I'm predicting it next spring. You'll be there.
I think there will be. I mean, there's naturally, there's a joke about like the Black Plague happening, and then the Renaissance happened after that, and people are like, well, now I know why it's just a bunch of chubby women hanging out not wearing bras, because that's basically what's happening right now. But I do think like naturally with dark times, I am an optimist. I do think like things are gonna be brighter. We're just in a dark spot right now.
Yeah, we just got to wait it out. Or, a lot of times I'm thinking, I can't wait for this day to be over so I can go to sleep. But then I think, I should enjoy the present and make the best of it. And instead of waiting for it to end, just enjoy wherever you're in at the moment. I don't know how I try to think about it. It's hard to keep that mindset, but I try to stay positive like that.
Yeah, no, that's very healthy. I think it's very easy to shut down in times like this. I know I took like a 4-hour nap today, and that wasn't the best use of my time, but but let's try and all we can do as funny people is try and make everyone smile a little bit,
Yeah.
That's the skill that we contribute.
Have you been like on social media over the weekend for sure? It's like, I have funny thoughts, but I'm like, I can't tweet that. I can't, it's like with all this awful shit and images you're seeing just bombarding you, and, there's justice for, all this stuff is happening. It's like,
yeah.
you can't, I'm like, I can't say anything funny now. You just gotta.
That's, and I did think about that for myself, but I wasn't really thinking about it when I saw like other people, like I had a couple friends share like, even yesterday, two friends eloped and because their wedding got canceled anyway, so it's like I've been seeing those things, but then Dan Levy, who I love Schitt's Creek, posted a thing that was like on Instagram that was like, think about it before you share something that you're taking away from the timeline. I was like, oh, you're so right, Dan Levy. So now every time I see someone else post something, I'm like, that is awful. I'm like, gotten all judgmental. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, we do need a break. I disagree with Dan Levy in this case. I think we do need a break from, I think it's very important, the things that people are sharing and sharing their experiences. And I don't think it's taking away from anyone to share something uplifting in the midst of all that. And just remember, every third post on Facebook is an ad. So
yeah, once in a while somebody will put like an ironic joke, like, I don't know, I saw someone complaining about just something really petty the other day, and I thought that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, right.
There's always, I'm not an instigator like that. I'm not gonna, that's not my personality to like do something like that to cause a stir, but I like when other people do it.
Yeah, I will chuckle from afar and give it a little. I've been using the care react on Facebook.
What's that?
Have you not seen the care react? Oh, it's great. It's a smiley face hugging a heart. Oh, it's beautiful.
That's what we need right now.
For everything now.
Oh god,
just because I feel like it's a
bad area for me. That's a bad zone. I don't know if you have any relatives that are into Trump or anything, or if you are, I don't know. Maybe you'll like it.
No, that's I've got lots of Trump supporting family members. I'm the most conservative in my household. My mom and my dad and my brother outweigh me on liberal politics, but the rest of the family, it's a scary place sometimes on Facebook.
Well, good for you.
Fun. Yeah. Well, Doug, thank you so much, DJ Douggpound.
Thank you, Matthew.
We've really appreciated it. We've got your social. You said find you on socials, Doug with 2 G's, Pound at Douggpound. Where to find you in most places.
Sure.
We'll check out the podcasts,
the Poundcast and Office Hours with Tim Heidecker.
Office Hours. Yes. Let's round of applause for Doug, guys. Doug, you're so cool.
Do you have a round of applause?
I do. Hold on, I have to get to that. There we go. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Doug. It was so awesome chatting with you, and I look forward to seeing your work in the future and following you on all the socials. And it was such a blast chatting with you.
Thanks, guys. I had a blast. Stay safe in NerdLanta.
That's all, folks.
Nerdy in the South. Get nerdy in the South.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping through Amazon.com or the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.